This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us this Friday, September 11, 2020. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, fires burning in the western part of the country. Officials send their dire warnings. President Trump versus Joe Biden, the war of words seen on the campaign trail last night. Marking 19 years since 9/11, the visual display of reflection to honor all the lives lost, and an NFL opener like no other. The return of football bringing social justice to the forefront. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin with the cause of the deadly Almeda fire in southern Oregon, now under criminal investigation for potential arson. Ashland's police chief said the circumstances surrounding the fire are suspicious. Reuters reports authorities in the state are cautioning against rumors that wildfires may have been set by political activists. Area media reports say investigators are also looking into a body that was found near the origin of the fire as part of the criminal investigation. The fire has killed at least 2 people, and the death toll is expected to rise.
I want to be upfront in saying that we expect to see a great deal of loss, both in structures and in human lives. This could be the greatest loss of human lives and property due to wildfire in our state's history.
At least 10 people have died in Northern California in the state's deadliest fire of the year. Thursday night, authorities found 7 bodies a day after 3 other victims were discovered. There is concern that the toll will rise as searchers continue to look for 16 missing people. The fire is among 5 this year that have set records for the most land ever burned. President Donald Trump was back on the campaign trail last night, focusing his attention on the economy at a rally in Michigan. He's trying to push past revelations that he purposely downplayed the danger of the coronavirus. President Trump has also tried to keep his voters' support. At his rally on Thursday, he turned the attention to rival Joe Biden, accusing Biden of supporting trade deals and policies that move jobs to other countries, including China. Meanwhile, former Vice President Joe Biden took his chance to put the attention back on President Trump in an interview with CNN.
Not only does Joe Biden want to eliminate your jobs, he wants to eliminate your borders. He's promised to flood your state with refugees.
Think about it. Think about what he did not do. And it's almost criminal. And the virus is not his fault, but the deaths are his fault because he could have done something about it.
Michigan is a swing state. President Trump won the state by fewer than 11,000 votes. Biden hopes to bring it back to Democrats. Firefighters have put out the remains of a huge fire at Beirut's port. The Lebanese army said the fire started at a warehouse where oil and tires are placed in the duty-free zone. It has been barely over a month since a massive blast devastated the port and the surrounding area. Nearly 200 people died in that explosion, which is still under investigation. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported in this last incident. The memories of the September 11th victims will be honored today. Last night, the Pentagon held a Towers of Light tribute. It has been 19 years since 2 planes were hijacked and flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon. An organization called Tunnels to Towers stationed the lights at the Flight 93 Memorial in Pennsylvania and at the Pentagon. A similar display was nearly canceled in New York because of virus concerns until an uproar sparked a change of heart. As students return to the classroom, the deaths of at least 6 teachers from COVID-19 are renewing pandemic fears. One of those teachers was Ashley DeMarinis. She was just 34 when she died Sunday after 3 weeks in the hospital. The Missouri teacher taught social skills and special education at a middle school. This comes as the country is inching closer to an unthinkable toll. The CDC projects up to 217,000 deaths by October 3rd. Many school districts are grappling with the question of going virtual or returning to in-person instruction. For many students and teachers, it is a difficult decision. As Heather Sells now reports, one reason is known as the COVID slide.
Students in states like Florida and Georgia are physically back in school, while many of their peers across the country are online. Virtual school districts are waiting on state and local health authorities for the green light to reopen. and everyone is trying to figure out just what happened in the last 6 months. Educators call it the COVID slide.
We don't know where that learning loss is going to be.
Dr. Kurt Kressig, Dean of Regent University's School of Education, says educators have never seen a disruption like this.
We can take the data from the previous summer learning losses, or a summer slide we call it, and we also take a look at research from, let's say, Hurricane Katrina that shut down schools for a month. What happened with those children?
What exactly has happened in the pandemic so far, what students have retained and forgotten, is pretty much every educator's guess until baseline testing can take place in person. Experts say they are most worried about K through 3 and 2 subjects, math and reading. Kressig says teaching students how to read online goes against everything educators know.
It's a very intimate process. You have a professional educator usually sitting next to a child, finger on the book, finger on the words as they try to put the words together. The phonics, everything has to come together.
There's also big concerns about kids from low-income families who may not have a laptop or Wi-Fi. This picture of 2 schoolgirls using Wi-Fi at a California Taco Bell struck a nerve, prompting an embarrassed district to offer a hotspot. Other districts have started sending Wi-Fi-equipped buses to low-income neighborhoods. Teachers will have a tall order this fall, assessing their kids' progress and providing a range of teaching to fit their needs.
You're going to have kids in a class where some retain more than others. And typically, we've always differentiated in classrooms, but now more so than ever.
There is a silver lining. A large-scale survey of parents and kids found improved well-being early on in the pandemic for students, less stress, and more sleep, independence, and personal responsibility. All those factors could make a big difference this fall as the challenge of wiping out the COVID slide plays out. Heather Sells, CBN News.
A new gadget set to come out this winter is made specifically for COVID times. LG Electronics has invented a battery-powered filtered face mask that features 2 fans and a HEPA filter that cleans air coming in and going out. It comes with a case that charges the battery and disinfects the mask with UV light. There's no list price just yet, and it'll only be available in select markets. A new report says teenagers are vaping less. Experts think last year's outbreak of vaping-related illnesses and deaths may have scared some children. They also believe other factors, including higher age limits and flavor bans, may have also led to the decline. The survey suggests the number of school children who vape fell by 1.8 million in a year. Each year, March for Life comes up with a theme to inspire and unite pro-lifers before, during, and after the march. Unity is the theme for the 2021 march. It will be called Together Strong, Life Unites. It is a clear declaration of unity on the issue from the March for Life in the face of one of the most divisive periods in American history, especially on an issue like abortion.
Abortion divides. Abortion divides mother against child. Abortion divides mother and father, siblings from the child, and of course, love really from a culture. So abortion is divisive, and we are the opposite. We are about uniting, and we're stronger together. So together strong, life unites.
Coming up, could a total lockdown for Israel be on the horizon? We're going to check in with our Middle East experts right after the break. But first, here's a quick look at the stories trending right now at CBNNews.com.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep. as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline, Friday night at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. Israel could be heading toward a nationwide lockdown. That is the latest ruling to come out of the country's coronavirus cabinet. The country passed more than 4,000 COVID-19 diagnoses in a single day, breaking a record. Joining us now to talk more about this is Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl. So, Julie, Israeli officials are looking at going into a lockdown again. What's reigniting this concern?
Well, you know, we've had a spike in cases. They had in one day 4,000 cases. It might not sound like that much, but that's a lot for Israel. They've had 146,000 cases now. Most have recovered. More than 1,000, sadly, have died. But the main concern right now, I believe, is the health system. They're afraid that it's going to collapse. And the healthcare officials have gone to the prime minister, have gone to the cabinet and said, you've got to do something. We need a lockdown. There's a problem here, and we're not going to be able to deal with it. And then a lot of people are going to die. You know, the high holidays are coming up. And so they're talking about really like locking down everything completely. Israelis are extremely communally oriented, family oriented. At Passover in the spring, they already spent that holiday isolated. So this is kind of a blow to families and also to those who have no families and, you know, count on being together with friends. But it's a serious thing.
It is. Israel also has some other big news coming. The signing course of the ceremony for the UAE peace deal is scheduled for next week. What do you think we can expect then?
Well, you know, we've already seen like dozens, at least dozens of Israeli companies and banks eager to sign agreements with the UAE and their counterparts. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that. President Donald Trump, you know, he's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for his work with this, and it's a very good thing. It's a very powerful thing. It's a positive thing that Israelis can really look at right now. And you know, one analyst told me, one former ambassador to Egypt, he said, Egypt is looking on at the UAE and saying, gee, we should have normalized ties. We could have had this technology and economic boost to our economy, too. But Egypt, when they signed their peace accord 40 years ago, they just decided, no, it's enough for us to just have a quiet border. And they've never really normalized relations with Israel. So I think we're going to see a big change in the Middle East if it goes forward as they are predicting that it will.
You mentioned President Donald Trump being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Do you think this is a big enough deal to earn such an award?
Yeah, I think so. I think, if indeed it does follow through and change things, it already has changed things. Always in the past, for decades and decades, they've said, we can't make peace with Israel until there's peace with the Palestinians. And they've basically gone around that. Even the Arab League has said that they won't condemn this agreement. So it's definitely making some changes in the Middle East, and it could have long-lasting and powerful effect.
Real quick before we let you go, what can we expect on Jerusalem Dateline this week?
Well, we're focusing on the UAE agreement. We're also having an interview with the creator and producer of a film, new documentary series on Israel's Iron Dome anti-rocket system, and also the people it protects. We have another interview with an author and evangelist who's telling us about his new book and how God is working behind the scenes in Iran. It's like good news and Iran. They don't usually go together in the same sentence, but this is that case. And we're going to take a look at the 9/11 Living Memorial in Jerusalem. It's the only place outside of the U.S., or one of the only places, where all the victims have their names recorded.
Oh. All right, you can look forward to that from our Middle East Bureau, as well as Julie and the entire team this evening on the CBN News Channel. And, of course, Jerusalem Dateline begins at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Still ahead, football is back, but the sport looks very different. Our sports director takes a look at what's missing and what's been added this season. Stay with us.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Football season is back, but it does come with some changes. Last night, the NFL season kicked off featuring the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Houston Texans at the Arrowhead Field in Kansas City, Missouri. It was a win for the home team. Kansas City took the game, scoring 34 points. Joining us now to talk more about how different last night's game was and the rest of the season, how it's going to look, is Sports Director Sean Brown. So good to see you. Of course, the NFL opener was last night. Talk to us about the differences we will see in other games moving forward.
Hey, good morning, Ephraim. Yes. Well, the game as we know it is, it's football. It's NFL football. The game itself hasn't changed too much. It still looks the same. There's passing, there's catching, there's tackling. But there's a few adjustments. First, the stands. There won't be very many people fans in the stands. As many as maybe 6 teams have stated that they're going to allow fans in the stands. The Kansas City Chiefs are allowing roughly 22% of the fans, which is about 17,000 of 70,000. And it's going to vary from team to team, and that may change as we go throughout the season. So there won't be many fans in the stands. So there will be some normal noise for those who are allowing fans. Also, the sidelines are going to be – won't be as many people on the sidelines. No media, no journalists, no media, no mascots, no cheerleaders. Michelle Tafoya had to interview Patrick Mahomes from the concourse last night, which is a little weird, but we got to hear his post-game thoughts. You'll also see players missing from some of the rosters. As many as 60 players have opted out of playing this season due to COVID concerns. There'll be no post-game interaction. Usually you'll see at the end of the game the players hugging, giving each other hugs and whatnot, shaking hands and whatnot, quarterbacks whispering in each other's ears, and you won't see any of that, obviously, because of COVID concerns. But also, social justice will be pronounced this season. And so that will be very different because you will see social justice messages throughout the season during each game.
Well, you mentioned that social justice was highlighted last night. We saw the phrases, "It takes all of us," and "end racism" in each end zone of the game. What else do you think fans can expect moving forward?
Well, look, Ephraim, Isaiah 117 says, "Learn to do right, seek justice, and defend the oppressed." And the NFL and the NFLPA have decided, look, we need to come up with a way to show that we're a part of this fight for racial equality. And so they have messages. "In racism, it takes all of us, stop hate, and Black Lives Matter," that you'll see resonating at each game. This very first game last night, and for the remainder of all of Week 1 games, you'll hear the playing of "Lift Every Voice and Sing," which is regarded as the Black national anthem. And so that will be played. You'll probably see a lot of players standing in unison during the games. And look, Tony Dungy said it last night. He said, look, players understand that, some players may decide to stay in the locker room like the Texans did last night. Some players may decide to take a knee. Some players may decide to stand. But at the end of the day, we recognize that each player has their own conviction and they want to show or express their feelings in their way. And we're going to stand with them. We're going to show, hey, we noticed this. And so our message is, look, it takes everyone, all of us together, moving forward. And they want to make that clear from game 1, week 1, from every team. And it's going to be pronounced throughout the season. And so the best moment was all of the players, from both teams, standing together in center field just for a moment of solidarity. And what was interesting was that they were booed by some of the Kansas City Chiefs fans in the stands, which was a little strange because the message of unity is one that we need to be discussing. And so the NFL is not going to back away from it. They're going to show solidarity. And so that's what we can look forward to, moving forward.
Real quick, speaking of social justice as well, and what we saw this week, we also learned that former NFL player Colin Kaepernick will be back on the field, at least virtually. What is the story here?
Hey, man, this is exciting. Colin Kaepernick hasn't played since 2016. And so EA Sports has said, look, we're going to add him to Madden 21, which is probably the most popular sports game, in EA Sports. But they said, look, we'll allow fans to be able to add Colin Kaepernick to whatever lineup they want. Any team, any lineup that they can put together, that we will make Colin Kaepernick, his character, available. So he's back on the field, virtually at least. My question is, all right, how good is he going to be? Because the game is usually built on stats from the previous season and their skill set. And so I'll be interested to see. I will be picking it up, so I can play with my sons. But I'm interested to see how, what his stats are going to be, how good he's going to be. But that is very, very exciting. Big up to EA Sports for making that move. I'm very excited about that.
All right, Sean Brown, thank you so much. Much appreciated.
All right, Ethel.
A child giving back to help those younger than him. Just ahead, how an 11-year-old spent his summer and why it brought one mom to tears. Stay with us.
nation's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torresadillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
An 11-year-old from Hampton, Virginia is getting attention online for how he's decided to give back during the pandemic. 11-year-old Cartier Carey spent his summer at a lemonade stand raising money to buy diapers and wipes for babies and parents in need. More than 22,000 diapers have been donated so far. One mother was moved to tears by his work, sharing her story of when she was struggling. Cartier says it was a moment he won't forget.
It was heart-touching. I almost cried myself when she gave me a hug and started crying. After that, that made me just want to keep doing it. Others can make a difference, just like I'm doing right now. They can save lives and be heroes. They're never too young.
You are so right. They are never too young. Time now for your Friday Faithful. I want to remind you and leave you with this simple but oh so important reminder. God is faithful. He never leaves and he never forsakes. This is a truth that simply cannot be denied, and we should hold on to that. Embrace it. Remember this, you are never alone. He promises to never leave you nor forsake you. With that word, I want to remind you that this brings CBN NewsWatch to an end, and you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a fabulous Friday, and be sure to have yourself a wonderful weekend. We'll see you right back here come Monday.